Hello, and welcome to the vCom Solutions Product Training Webinar Series. My name is Courtney Cordoba, and I am the Product Marketing Manager here at vCom Solutions. This series is going to be a four-part series covering all of our four products: planning and procurement, operations management, expense management, and quantum shift by vCom Solutions, and really focusing on the challenges that they solve. This webinar series will be great for those of you who are new customers onboarding with us, looking to get a better idea and a little bit of a deeper dive into all of our different product offerings. And it's also going to be great for those of you that are looking at us, a prospective customer who want to get to know vCom Solutions and really how we can help you and support your IT and finance teams. So before we hop into everything, just a quick background on vCom Solutions. We were founded in 2001 with a big dream and a very, very big mission statement that hasn't changed much all the way up until today. And that mission statement is to empower people and companies with the best software, managed services, and industry experts to source, manage, and pay for their technology in a single place. One sentence, but a lot contained in that, right? So we want to provide software, managed services, and industry experts. Or if you're already working with us, you may hear us reference people, process, and platform. It's kind of our philosophy of the things that you need at a minimum to be able to run your IT and finance operations for your companies efficiently and manage your telecom IT technology. And we want to support you with those three things across the entire life cycle of all of your technology assets. So from sourcing to managing the day-to-day to getting that asset paid for. And that last piece all in one place, which is really the revolutionary disruptive part about vCom Solutions and our software vManager. So when it comes to the challenges of our IT industry or technology industry in general, we always hear about how it is fast-paced and ever-growing and expanding, and new things are pretty consistently coming to market. But we never really go back and look at the downstream impacts of all of that, of which there are many, and many can be a challenge for companies to resolve. And that's really why vCom was born, was to help support in these challenges. In our ever-expanding, fast-paced environment of IT technology, there is always going to be a need for experts and upskilling, right? It's amazing that things are constantly coming to market, but that also means understanding and having someone who understands those technologies and the solution itself and the vendors out there that have that offering and the differences between each of those, and trying to figure out requirements and how to determine how it may apply to your business. It's not one size fits all, right? So having someone who knows that and isn't constantly have to learn that, but a team of resources available to you is really, really important. Another downstream impact of all of these emerging technologies is operational inefficiencies, kind of a lack of planning ahead for that and kind of having to go back and look at that afterwards. Very common problem we see, and one of the reasons vCom was born. On top of that, a lot of lean teams, there isn't endless budget to throw at payroll and staffing. So a lot of work to do and fewer hands to do that, particularly with the small to mid-sized businesses that we work with, but we've even seen it with enterprise companies as well. Obviously, increasing budget constraints, especially in times of economic uncertainty like we are living in now. Companies are constantly evaluating how they can tighten the purse strings. And then kind of looking at the overarching story is a big thing for companies as well. And something that we feel often gets overlooked is developing a proactive digital transformation strategy. In an environment like ours, where we constantly have new product offerings, what is our 5 or 10-year plan for our company, our desired customer experience outcomes, our technology IT landscape? And then can we measure up these new emerging technologies against that so we're making the best decisions for us? So really a lack of having the time and knowledge to be able to develop that type of strategy. So these are just a few of the challenges that we feel that we see the most in the industry, and what we've really tailor-made our products to provide solutions for. So without further ado, let's hop into our first deep dive for the day, which is going to be focusing on our planning and procurement offering. So I'm going to open up vManager because, of course, we can't talk about our product offerings without looking in vManager. And I'm going to share my screen. Welcome to vManager. If you have not seen it before, this is what our platform looks like. And you can really see our messaging even lives here. We want to support you all the way from sourcing to managing to paying. And you'll see those different buckets across the top. So planning and procurement, operations, and expense, which are 3 of the 4 names of our product offerings. So we're going to be focusing today in planning and procurement and really what that does for you when you partner with vCom Solutions. So we have these 3 buckets under planning and procurement: design, sourcing, and contracts. And really this covers all areas of that. So design being the larger scale, large effort projects where you need to, rip out an old technology and replace it with a new one, or something that's all site impacting, things like that. But we also have our day-to-day shopping needs. So that's really where sourcing comes into play. I have one new site that I need a few technologies for, or I need to upgrade this and order one new thing of that, right? Those kind of much more minimal, smaller scale needs, but that also need to be managed efficiently. And then, of course, contracts. So when you go through all this purchasing, you have your contracts. Where do you store them? Where do you make sure they're readily available for you when you need it? And also that there is clarity and business continuity with those contracts. It's not just on one person's computer, or, someone who has unfortunately moved away from the company and now you have to scramble to figure out what they had saved in front of them and whether it was the most up to date, yada, yada. So really contracts and everything that falls under that. So diving a little bit into design, this is the page that's going to lay out what you can expect when working with our technology solutions experts on large scale projects. So as we mentioned, people, process, platform, we are in our platform, and this really focuses heavily on our people and the process that they go through to support large scale implementation projects and the entire process prior to the actual implementation, right? There's a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of work, and a lot of expertise. Referencing upskilling again, our entire team has, if you add it all up together, decades upon decades of industry experience in working with technologies across all 6 buckets of spend, as we call it. But that just means referencing network, mobile, collaboration, cloud, hardware, and SaaS. So for all 6 of those buckets of spend, we have dedicated expert resources with industry knowledge, keeping up on the emerging technologies, and also continuing to hone their expertise on what's available in the market today, what the vendors have to offer, how their offerings differentiate, etc., and helping you figure out how that applies for you. And we do that through this process, and we've outlined that process here. A lot goes into it. So this is really just an informational page saying, hey, when you embark on one of these large-scale projects, these are all the approximate steps you can expect that we will take, obviously tailoring it to your needs, but then also providing examples of here's some of the outcomes and things that we have created for our customers when going through this solution design process. This is one of my favorites here. It is a vendor scorecard. So they asked this customer and worked with them to develop a criteria. What are your requirements? What are the needs the solution needs to fit? Put that over here on the left, talked about all of the different vendor options and evaluated that, and based against the criteria came up with a kind of point system here at the bottom, a scoring system to then evaluate at a glance quickly which ones might be the best potential recommendations to go for your IT technology. And this is one example of many. There are examples sprinkled throughout this page, all the way up through negotiating that final contract. So talking about people and process, this really hits home on both, and it creates efficiencies as well, right? We are doing this day in and day out. Unlike with your teams, large-scale projects like this might not be something that you're doing every day, week, month, year, even sometimes, depending on your business, but we are, right? So when you are working on a project with us, you will also see this My Solutions tab. It has examples if you're not currently working on a design project with us, but if you are, this is where we will upload that. So providing the information for you. Again, don't have to dig into your inbox, creating an efficiency there. What was that email that was sent to me 3 weeks ago with the attachment, right? It's all going to be in vManager, so you know it's the most up-to-date version. And even better yet, others who have access to these menus on your teams who, have vManager logins will also be able to see that as well. So no need to send it across your internal team. And if you do embark on one of these projects, obviously, as you start to narrow down your options, you're going to want to evaluate everything from a cost perspective. So that's why we built the return on investment or ROI tool. And this is going to show you an evaluation of the different technologies. So kind of as you see here on the left, current versus the proposed, what you're looking at. And we can do this for multiple different vendor options. And so it will give you more information to help you determine which one you want to go with. So after we go through that process, we can narrow it down to a couple, run this on those few that you're still debating, present that to your teams internally, make you look really, really good with your upper management or executives, and also make sure that we are, again, making the right decision for your business because you have all this information from our team. Now we can move on to sourcing. So this is that everyday kind of individual or a few items at a time shopping that's also needed. Hence, you'll see it represented by the shopping cart, a little bit more of an instant gratification. I'm going to pull it off the shelf and check out and be good to go. So one of the many ways that vManager creates efficiencies for your business is by knowing that when you open something in the tool, like a pricing request via My Marketplace or an order via My Marketplace or vCom Marketplace, you know that it has been opened and goes to the right teams on the back end on vCom side of the house to immediately in their bucket, right? There's removing that swivel chair. Do I have to call this provider? Do I have to send an email? Oh, what was my most recent account rep again? I forget because it switched hands half a dozen times, right? There's a little bit of challenge and time wasted going through that process. And this platform really just says, great, go ahead and get that open. And once it's opened in here, you know it's with the right team member, it's landed in their bucket, they can start working it immediately. And there's communication around it as well. So it's not just opened and then lost in here. You'll find what you're looking for and everybody will get notified accordingly to when price results are ready or when order needs to be placed. So diving into that, we have My Marketplace and vCom Marketplace. The only reason we have two is because My Marketplace is for when you have customized needs. So for example, mobile onboarding with us is very much let me implement only exactly what you need to shop against in our tool. So totally custom to your business. What vendors do you work with? What accounts do you work with? Obviously, we can help you establish that too if you're kind of starting more from scratch. But any existing environment you have, we want to basically build that in our system for you to shop against and have nothing but that in the system, really clean up the process. You know, oftentimes we hear a common complaint of, oh, I have to do all the ordering because I'm the one that knows exactly the phones and the plans and the pricing that it should be, etc. But with this custom process in our tool, you can have other team members support you by doing the shopping and just say, hey, nothing but what should be able to be picked from will be visible. And you can pass off that item knowing that they're not going to be able to order something that's outrageously out of budget or something that your company doesn't support. And you can also put stop gaps in place so that before orders are placed, you can have the final approval before the money is spent. With mobile, you'll see a few options here, quick order options if you have those built. If you're an onboarding mobile customer and haven't heard about quick order yet, highly recommend you inquire with your mobile team. Basically, eliminates the many steps to get to that order placement for that mobile device. As cool as it is, it still requires, making selections, typing in information. So this streamlines even further by saying, great, if you already know you're going to order a certain phone plan, storage option, features, etc. Why don't we just pre-build that for you so that all you have to do is select this and then it'll take you to that cart kind of checkout page where you just have to enter who the user is going to be and where the device is going to be shipped to. That being said, you always have the option to create a custom order as well, but there is some steps to that. Again, they're all customized though. So once you determine what kind of service you want or the different order options here, but I'm going to choose service in this example. You'll see the device types, the line number or origination options, device source options, including which vendors and which account numbers associated to that vendor. And then you select the phone options and just continue through the process here based on what you need. Again, this is all custom catalog. So for your business, it may look different than what we have going on here for vCom, but it is to your specs. But you can see kind of the gist here, selections along the way. And when you have the quick orders, you basically kind of skip all this because you've predetermined it and we've pre-built and kind of hard-coded that so that when you select the quick order option, you are jumping straight to this page I'll take you to in a minute. There's a wearables option. You can always skip that or have it not even built into the process. And then it takes you straight to this page. So you're going straight from quick order to here, and you can see how that streamlines and saves you some time even further. And it really makes sure that someone isn't ordering the wrong phone and plan. But here you just simply input user information and that shipping address for the device. And on the last screen, which would be next, you would be able to add multiple phones if you need to add multiple phones, and then place that order or submit that order for approval, because again, you can put a stopgap in place to make sure nothing is purchased without your approval. For network, majority of those services live under vCom Marketplace, which is basically our public, I say public in quotes because it's not public like on the World Wide Web, but it's public to our customer database. And this is where you can find those network options under the vCom Marketplace. So you just check what you're looking for, enter in a location, and type in a description and comments, and boom, that request gets opened. And again, eliminating swivel chair. Once this request is open, the tool is automatically going to go out and find the vendors available and the pricing that they are quoting back to us and put it all in one space and place. And that is here in price results. So once you've opened that request, it gets worked, starting to be worked right away. Our team can also evaluate it if you need to refine it further on the back end or you want to negotiate pricing further. But at a bare minimum, that request is open. Your team has been made aware and there's no lag time. You can always see any open requests or recently approved ones here. Click in and then see your pricing result options. So again, just hitting home the values here of being able to have it all in one space and place. We are carrier agnostic, meaning we don't really care which vendor you go with. And that's true for those large scale projects and for this individual shopping experience. We don't mind. We just want to help you find the right solution for your business at the right price. But really, you can pick whatever vendor you want to work with, and all vendor options will be available in our tool and to be able to shop from and see in one place. So really saving and eliminating time, not only of waiting to actually call or send an email to get that request opened or log into that portal, but you don't have to do it multiple times to make sure you're looking and seeing what's available out there for that location. We're doing all of that for you on the back end. And then pulling that into vManager for visibility. And you have tons of filter options across the top because just like in this example, many times hundreds come back and that takes a lot of time to go through. So you can go through and say, okay, I know I want to go through this Buyers Club channel, which is our Quantum Shift product offering, which we'll get to in a later session of this series. And then pick your carrier option. Let's say if you know you're only going to be selecting between these two, you check the boxes and you get the idea. It continues to narrow down the pricing. And we're giving you as much upfront information as possible for planning purposes, including a building info link. So you can see for this exact site, here's what we're getting back as the telco, the cable co, broadband provider, building providers for all the different access mediums. And we're even putting implementation intervals in here so you know what to expect when placing one of those orders. So really changing the game and giving you as much visibility as possible upfront. So answering questions before you even ask. So not only providing inefficiencies, but giving you proactivity in that sense as well. So you can start to see how this tool saves your team a ton of time and also provides a lot of information and visibility. Check my providers in my building is basically that info link here in its own menu. So if you want to proactively see these details without having opened a price request yet, you can simply pop in the location here, add a new one if it's not in our tool yet, and then see all of that information on access medium here on the right. That's what individual shopping looks like in our tool. And last but certainly not least is contracts and managing those contracts. So when working with vCom, everything is going to default to loading in the document center. We're going to either upload that relationship contract, the TMA that you sign with us, and put it in here. And then everything that you purchase through us asset-wise is going to automatically upload in the tool here. And that will be for your individual services that you're signing service orders for. It's going to always be findable in the document center. And once it is loaded here, you also have customization options like the document name and description fields. So you just click in and type whatever is applicable here. And now you know what that service order is for. For example, 41905 doesn't really mean a whole lot, but the Fortinet 1-year reterm is very applicable to what this contract is and adds clarity for all. And again, your entire team has access to this if they have access to this menu. Access can be tailored based on individual needs. Not everyone gets to have everything if you don't want them to. And ultimately, this becomes a really just simple storage solution for your files. And not only are we uploading everything vCom related to it in here, but you can upload your own documents as well using this button. You can choose the type of document, a specific folder if it's already created, you want to pop it straight into. Put a little description, so before it even lands there, you don't have to go back and do it. You can do it up front, select your file, and then upload. And so it can be used for all of your carrier contracts, even ones that are currently outside of vCom, and can just be your central repository for you and your teams. Also under contracts, we have the service order workflow. As I mentioned before, you can have other team members come in here and request services for ordering. But if you want to make sure there are guarantees that nothing will be ordered without your approval or a higher ups approval, many teams today already have an internal workflow, approval workflow in place for these types of things. This automates that process. You go ahead and build it in the tool here. In the hamburger menu, you can click on Manage SO Approval Workflow. If there's an existing, you'll see it and can make changes, or if it's not existing, this will all just be blank. You can fill it in as needed. And now that means the tool automatically will say, okay, she just hit approve for this option, but it's got to go to X, Y, and Z people first, and then we can actually place the order. We also have the Manage Services Workflow, which is always going to show you a copy of your contract, full visibility, and then upcoming renewals. So even a proactive planning tool for your services for 12 months. So this is one of our newer menu items. And again, this is a 12-month planning tool, just basically saying, hey, you have this coming up off of term in this amount of months, 2, 4, 6 here, as you can see as an example. Let's start talking about it and making sure it's either going to be replaced, or maybe we're going to renew it. Whatever the case may be, you have to address that. Otherwise, you'll either get stuck in auto renew with the carrier, or if it comes off of term, potentially see price increases, which is always unfortunate. So when it comes to planning and procurement, this is all you can find in vManager around it. Ton and ton of information. But as I mentioned, there really are people and processes happening at all times on the back end to support this for planning and procurement. So that's all I have to share today about vCom's planning and procurement. And I look forward to seeing you on the next series video talking about operations management and how we solve problems there as well. If you are an existing customer looking for more information or have further questions, go ahead and reach out to your customer success manager, and they will help you address those needs or get in touch with the right team members to answer your questions. And if you are not a vCom customer but are interested in learning more, you can visit our website, which is vcomsolutions.com. Thanks everyone for your time today, and I will see you next time.